Hi YouTube fam, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is the Lady Lawyer channel once again. My name is Victoria and you're welcome to the show. I'm very happy to have you here. Here we talk all things Nigerian, African, academic, legal, everything in between. And I'm glad to see you once again. Well, I can't see you, but I'm glad that you're there. Today we're going to be talking about the big I, the insurance word. If you're interested in this, keep watching. So with my last experience losing a bag, I made a video last week and I'm going to link it to this video. I started to think about insurance. One of the things which I said in that video was that my insurance company eventually helped me out and paid some money for my lost properties and the properties of others in my possession. And so this got me thinking about insurance in Germany and at what point would a person, especially an expat like me, would consider themselves safely insured in Germany. When I came here, I noticed that unlike where I came from, where we just sort of let things flow and left everything to God and somehow, wished and hoped and things would work out and somehow they did. In Germany, people are more risk averse. And the general attitude in Germany is that if something can be insured for, then we certainly would insure against it. So people are not willing to leave themselves open to the vagaries of life. And if life happens to them, it wrecks their financial status, they are not ready for that. So here people would insure for everything insurable. And I started to learn that. I also took out some policies of my own, But one thing I know, one principle that I think is important for insurance generally is that insurance that you have should depend on the status or your station in life. So for example, if you have a property, the sort of insurance policies you will have will be different from that of somebody who is renting. If you have a car, the insurance policies you would have will be different from that of somebody who has a bicycle. So as an expatriate in Germany, there are some insurance policies that I think are essential for your life here. And I've broken them into three major categories. So we have those that are compulsory. There are laws and rules and regulations that bind you having this insurance. That's the first category. The second category are those that are recommended, but may not be compulsory. They are not compulsory, they are just recommended. And then the third category is the nice to have. So in the first category, we have the health insurance. I think there's been a lot of talk around health insurance on this channel. I've spoken about it a number of times, so I won't go into too much details, but the rule of thumb is that the government has made laws around health insurance and it works very well in Germany. So you are either on the public or the private health insurance as an expat. There are many things that determine in which category you will fall, but whatever category you fall, you must fall somewhere and you must be properly insured. The second compulsory insurance that as far as I know, is the insurance for your pension insurance. Pension insurance is very important because once you start working in Germany, there's a certain percentage of your contribution that goes towards your pension. And whether you like it or not, this is drawn out of your salary. So it's called Renteversicherung and it is very mandatory. You have no choice in the matter. The third one is Autoversicherung. That's the one for vehicle insurance. When you have a car, you don't have a choice. You need to have vehicle insurance. So these are the three major insurances as far as I think is important for you as an expat to have that are compulsory. Now we move to the second category. This is the category of those that are optional, but in my opinion, are recommended. I say they are recommended because many things can wreck the financial life of a person in this country. And if there is no ceiling of protection for you, there is nothing that is protecting you essentially from risk, that could be the end. I've heard a story of somebody who was driving, somebody else's car, and unfortunately had a few swigs of beer that evening, and he drove the car onto the tram track and hit a tram. In the tram, there were, I don't know, maybe about hundreds of people, and he destroyed the tram. By the time he was pulled out of the car, he had also, destroyed the tram tracks, and had also caused a lot of delay for many commuters on that line. So by the time they calculated the amount of money that he would pay, unfortunately for him, he had no insurance and he was not the owner of the car. So by the time they calculated the amount of money, the guy ran away because there was no way he was going to pay hundreds of thousands of euros, which was calculated that he became liable for. So this is why insurance is very essential. I mean, of course. So recommended insurance. The first one I would say is the third party private liability insurance. It's called Hapflicht Versicherung. Hapflicht Versicherung is very important for situations where you cause damage to somebody else's property. And there's actually a civil code that provides that you must indemnify, or using lay terms, you must pay back or rectify people's positions when you destroy their things. So for those of us who have children, your children are playing around in the neighborhood, they scratch somebody's car, believe me, you need to pay for it. And there is a civil code that says you must pay for it. So this insurance covers you against things like this. Your children go to the kita, or they go to church, or they go to school and they destroy something. Now you're responsible and you have to pay for it by law. And so this insurance protects you from having to take the financial burden of whatever value that you are insured to. I'm not an insurance broker, but there are different policies that provide different values for things like this. And it's nice, especially people with children, you know, to protect yourself against the possible or potential financial loss that could come from this. Another insurance that becomes necessary, especially when you have an apartment of your own under your name, is household content insurance, Hausrat Versicherung. This is very important to protect the contents of your home. So there are different types of household content insurance. There is the one that deals strictly with the content of your home, your books, your television, your whatever it is that you have in your home, against thefts, against, for example, if there is a flood, if somebody's bathroom over your apartment decides to flood your apartment and the contents of your flat are destroyed, you can be protected. If there is wind and something is destroyed in your flat, you can be protected. If a thief comes into your apartment and steals something, I wanted to say thief, and steals something from your apartment, you can also get the value of your property back. So that's important. Another type of this insurance is the one that actually deals with the fittings and the furnishings in the house. And this is very crucial because some of these things have the tendency to be very expensive. So for example, if there is a storm and a tree falls on your building and breaks your window, very expensive window, now you have to pay for it, except you have an insurance that covers it, or except your landlord's insurance somehow covers it. But many times what you find is that in this insurance things, you realize that there are still some loopholes that somehow nobody covered. For example, when my bag was stolen in the office, we explored the insurance policy of the owner of the building. We explored the insurance policies of my employers before I got to my own insurance policies, before I could find some protection and get some money back. So even though there were many policies, somehow, many times there could still be loopholes as to what is covered and what is not. So this is why it's good to be properly covered. Another recommended insurance, as far as I am concerned, is the one against accidents. And I've seen this happen many times. I've seen a number of friends going on the road and then hitting their leg against something, and suddenly they have a broken leg. They can't walk, and somehow they need some care apart from their health insurance, which would take care of the cost of repairing the leg. They may also need some help at home for the period in which they would not be able to go to work. They may also need some contribution, for example, to cover their salary for that period. So, for example, in many instances, it depends. Your employer can cover your salary depending on how, for example, something like an accident happens and you can't work for 6 weeks. There's a level to which your employer can continue to pay you, to the point where they will no longer pay you anymore. So it is this kind of insurance that comes into play and then supplements your salary for the period that you're out of commission and you cannot work. So these things are really crucial. And then, of course, some of them also provide worldwide coverage. So if you travel often and you need a policy to take care of you even when you are abroad, this is important. Some of them provide death sum to your family if anything happens to you. repatriation of body sum. Some of them also provide money for you if you happen to be in the hospital. So for every night in the hospital, for example, I've heard of insurance policies that pay people 100 euros per night, you know, and all of these things. So this is good for you if anything happens. We hope that it doesn't. And this is the African attitude that nothing is going to happen in Jesus' name. That's fine. But if something happens, at least you do not get to worry about money. So this is essential. You need accident or Unfall Versicherung. Another one, which I think for people who have families, that is very crucial, is term life insurance. So like the classic life insurance policy. Especially for people who are the main breadwinners of their families, it's important that if anything happens to them, that their family is still well cared for. I am not an expert on insurance, as I have said, but I think these are things that one should look into, especially for those of us who live in the diaspora. One thing that usually happens is that you find that when people pass away, their family struggles to even take care of the process of burying them, and then what happens to them after, what happens to their family after the whole burial process is done. So term life insurance takes care of your family essentially. I think I'm sounding like an insurance broker, but I think this is important. You know, term life insurance takes care of your family members. And I think the next time I see, you know, a GoFundMe, for example, for the family of somebody who has died, it pains me every time I see such a thing, because I feel like we should get past that stage. We should get to the stage where we can actually take care of ourselves. And when we're working, we can think well, far ahead, and make sure that our families are cared for. So basically, to me, those are the not mandatory, not compulsory, but recommended insurance that you should have. Now, the third category, where I have just one, as far as I am concerned, is the category of nice to have. So I call this nice to have because it's not compulsory. In fact, I only got this policy just a few months ago. Although events have now overtaken it, but I think it's still important to mention. And that is the travel insurance. So travel insurance that covers a lot of things, not just travel. For example, if you travel often by virtue of your work, or by virtue of your personal life, you find yourself traveling a lot all the time, it's important that you get a comprehensive travel insurance policy. And this would most likely cover something that could cover, you know, flight cancellation, flight delays. Especially in the EU, there are very nice laws that protect you, but it's good that you have a good policy as well that can supplement whatever the airline is paying. And if you use low-cost airlines, many times they don't want to pay you anything. But if you have insurance, then that will help you. So, for example, lost baggage, hopefully not, but if you get sick abroad, this is also a nasty situation that could be prevented if you have insurance. At least you are sure that you get good care that may not be up to the level of Germany, but you know that nothing bad is going to happen to you abroad, because you won't be worried about the money to pay for your health care whenever you're not in the country. So this, like I said, is, to me, recommended, is nice to have, but is not compulsory. It depends, as I said, on what your job is or whether you travel often, and this would really be helpful for you and make your life significantly easier. So if you have insurance policies, let's talk about which ones you have. Which ones do you think are important? Do you agree with me that some of the ones I have highlighted are important? If you are of the opinion that we should just do things and hope that God keeps protecting us, let's also talk about it. Are you an African on this issue, or are you a European? So have you had any experience using your insurance policy here in Germany? Have you been paid for anything that you have claimed? Did you actually receive money back from your insurance company? Let's talk about it. I'll look forward to hearing more about this in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Really, let's not say this again. Please do subscribe now. Okay, I'm waiting. All right. See you in the next one. Thank you very much for joining me. See you later. Bye.